Hi, this is Maxine. Today I want to show you how to make scrunchies, hair scrunchies, from leftover jelly roll strips. You'll need elastic bands, just the ordinary covered elastic bands, cheap ones that you can buy, and a leftover jelly roll strip. As you know, these are roughly 2 inches by 45 inches, are they? The minimum you can get away with is about 36 inches, which is 90 centimetres. This scrunchie was made from one that is about 90 centimetres left on it. And this scrunchie was made from a full length. Now it does look bigger. It's not bigger because it's using the same bands in the middle. It's fuller, so it makes it look a little bit bigger. But if you want to make these for friends and family, your grandchildren, for craft fairs, school fairs, anything like that, they're really easy to make, and it's great to use up your leftover pieces. So I'm going to do 2 short videos. This one will be for the Overlocker, and the other one will be for the sewing machine. You do use the Overlocker and the sewing machine, not just the Overlocker for this completely, unless you've got some great tricks, in which case show me please. So I'm going to start off and I'm going to remove this little strip here. Only because it shows, so we'll just cut that little bit off. It's the only waste on here. And I'm now going to go over to the ironing board. And okay, here we are at the ironing board. I've got my jelly roll strip, and I have this hemming card. I bought this a while ago, and when I opened it, I was really disappointed. It's to help you with hemming. You can see here, different hems, skirts, dresses, blouses, whatever, to do hems. It's marked out at centimetres, half centimetre line, but I was really disappointed because it's a piece of cardboard and I paid quite a lot of money for it. So, if you want to make one of these, get a piece of cardboard and draw a line 1 centimetre from the edge, this red line here, and you can do what I'm going to do. It actually is handy. When I did get round to using it, it is quite handy. It's just, it really did annoy me because nobody told me it was a piece of paper, because I would have just drawn a line on. So I'm going to use it, and I'm going to fold over to the 1 centimetre line on this card, and I'm going to take my iron and I'm going to use the heel to start the press, and you'll see as I go along, it is quite handy because it makes it very quick to press over a little seam allowance. And so I'm using 1 centimetre. I'm moving the card along as I'm pressing. Just make sure it's tucked under, and I pull it over to that red 1 centimetre mark. Just going to pull it back. You can see it does it really quickly and really quite neatly. Be careful when you're touching your piece of card because your piece of card does get quite hot. But other than that, it actually is quite handy. But as I said, get a nice piece of card yourself, a bit of gloss card or something, and draw a line on it, and you have this fabulous little tool. So, there we are. I've pressed over, and you can see it's really quite even, and it's really quite quick to do. So it is good from that point of view. Now I'm going to turn my jelly roll strip right sides together, match the bottom up, and I'm just going to snip it in 2 with my scissors. So I'm just going to take the top and I'm just going to cut across it and cut it in 2 right sides together. Now we're ready to sew. Okay, we're over at the Overlocker, and I'm just going to overlock the 2 edges together that are not pressed. Okay, so you just need to match them up and overlock it. Mine's on 5mm. You can do it on 6mm, 7, it doesn't matter, but you only need a thin thin one, so 5mm is absolutely fine. As you can see, we just run along this hem on the other, matching the edges. Snip off the ends close, left about 1 centimetre. I'm not going to tuck them in, they don't need it. And I'm just going to snip off at the other end. Now, you can press this seam. I prefer to press this seam, so I'm going to go and press the seam open. I think it's a nicer finish. It's not necessary though, so if you don't want to press this, move on to the next step. Okay, so I'm just going to press this open. Pressing does a couple of things. It sets your stitch for a start. If you were using stretch fabric, which I'm not, but if you were, the stretch fabric stretches when you stitch it. And what pressing allows it to do is the heat allows the fabric to shrink back to its natural position after being stretched. And it also, as I said, sets the stitch. So I'm just going to push it over with the iron, as you can see, making sure that it keeps this turned under edge under. And that's all I'm going to do, really. It's just my preference, okay, to do that, get it nice and flat. Then I'm going to fold it the right sides together, and I'm going to go back over to the overlocker, and I'm going to overlock this short seam. Now I have realised the sound on these videos is very rubbish. I have a different phone and it's not very good, but I'm hoping you can still hear me. So these two edges here, these short edges, right side together. Now if you're a quilter you'll know this, but if not, it's a natty little thing to know to reduce bulk on the seams. So on one side of this I'm going to pull the seam to the left. On this one, I'm going to just pull the seam to the right. And where the seams match on the right side, you just nestle that little ledge together. Okay? And you pinch it there. And that reduces bulk in your seams. You can do that on anything, not just on this scrunchie. Now I'm just going to run along this, won't be a moment, to join this short edge. I'm not going to press this, I don't need this one pressing, it's very short. But what I am going to do is move over now to the standard sewing machine. Okay, here we are. I have my elastic and I have my loop of jelly roll. So this is a little bit tricky doing this method. There are other methods, and if you have a preferred method, feel free to use it. But this is the method I like. Once you've done it 2 or 3 times, you'll be able to do this really quickly. Now, I'm just pinching down my seams here, and I'm hoping you can see this. I'm going to take my elastic and I'm going to bring my fabric up through the middle of the elastic. Then I'm going to find the seam on the other side and I'm going to bring it over and I'm going to match my seams. Okay, just want to pull through about 1 inch either side to get this started, and as you can see the elastic is in the center here. Now I am just going to flick this over because when I go to sew it I want these 2 edges together and I want my elastic at the top here. Just makes it a little bit easier, and you can see it's in the center. So I'm going to pop this under my feet. Now I'm going to pop that down, and first of all I'm going to reverse. Now I have my needle over to the right hand side because I want to stitch about 1 or 2 millimeters from the edge. So if it's over to the right, I can use my foot as a guide to get the stitching where I want. So I'm just going to go a couple of stitches back and a couple of stitches forward just to secure this in place. Now I'm going to make sure my needle is in. It goes all the way in, down and just on the rise. That does two things. It locks the stitch so you don't get a misstitch. And secondly, it allows me to manipulate the fabric and pull the fabric through the elastic loop. I'm hoping you can see this where you are. Let me move you a little closer. Hopefully you can see okay. So I'm matching the two pressed edges together, only about, what, I don't know, 5-6 centimeters at a time, 1.5 inches. I'm just going to do my stitch. It's not a race. Make sure that needle's on the rise and I can pull my fabric and put everything where I want it to be. So you can sew this quite slowly the first couple of times you do it. Make sure we're back nice and straight. Needle down, just on the rise, holds everything in place so you can pull and manipulate your fabric. Pop those edges together again, make sure we're nice and flat there. If you're not sure, you can just lift a few stitches around and we just run on. Now I have to say, on videos I hate watching people sew, really do, drives me nuts, but this is only a very short way. And if you're not used to making these things, it's nice to see how other people do it, and that actually it is quite easy to do. You just need to have a little patience and be gentle, firm but gentle with your fabric. And as you can see, we're just stitching around. I'll show you how close to the edge we are when we're done. Just matching up those two pressed edges all the time. The elastic is in the middle here of the fabric, so it's a little bit like magic doing it this way. Once you've done it 2 or 3 times, honestly you can whiz through these. So if you want to make these, you know, for a craft fair, for school, for friends to give away, for grandchildren, family, it makes them really quite easy to do. And it's great using up those leftover little strips of jelly roll. I think it is anyway. So if you have, you know, 10 pieces of jelly roll strip, they're really quick. You can do them on, you know, all at once and save a lot of time, and you can run them up really quickly. You don't have to do them separately. So I'm nearly there. As you can see, it's all matched up here. I'm just going to join up my stitching and just do a couple of reverse stitches. Take it out. Snip this off of my threads on both ends, and then here we have our da-da moment. Here is the jelly roll. As you can see, I've stitched a couple of millimeters from the edge. It's all very neat. Here's the center. Just bear with me while I just move the camera to you better. And there's your jelly roll. Your jelly roll scrunchie. Okay? So, hope you've enjoyed this video. If you want to see how to do it on the machine, if you're not confident just to do it on the machine yourself, then watch the other video. Okay, thanks, bye.